Hello again, and welcome to the show. We are charting the higher octave with legendary guitarist Mark Gemini Thwaite. Thank you. Hi, Mark. Thank you for
Hello.
joining me. Our long-awaited interview. Been wanting to do this for a long time, and I know we chatted briefly when I did an interview with Ashley, but I've been wanting to do this, and you are so involved with so many amazing talents through many years, right? You have a long history with all these amazing talents. Like you started out with Spear of Destiny and of course the Mission and Tricky and so many more in between that, and of course the one and only Peter Murphy. How do you do this? I mean, you're so busy.
Yeah, I guess I like to keep myself busy. Of course, I've been sort of playing in bands professionally since like the late '80s. So I joined
Mhm.
Spirit Destiny at the end of '89, and and then from Spirit Destiny into the Mission in '92, and various Peter Murphy and Tricky and Gary Numan, all these people all kind of came sequentially after that.
Oh,
Sometimes I was in, a couple of bands at the same time. Like Wayne Hussey would break up the Mission. Say in '96, he broke up the Mission, and then I joined Tricky's band, and then he reformed the Mission in '99, and then I was juggling both bands for a while. And then I joined Peter Murphy's band, and I was in Peter's band as well as the Mission for a while. And so you kind of get overlaps going on.
yeah.
Plus being asked to work on various studio projects um, on the side, which you can be juggling a few of those at the same time. I could be
Mhm.
working on an album with Raymond Watts from Pig, which I did, I don't know, around
Yeah, that's another one,
2015.
another
But I
artist.
also, at the same time, was working on Primitive Race, which was a collective with various industrial artists. And then I also was inspired to release my own record, the MGT first album. So all that stuff was kind of going on at the same time. So, bearing in mind I've been doing this since the late '80s, it all starts to add up, to quite a lot.
Yeah.
And then when I look back on it, I think, well, yeah, it's very busy. I feel like I've slowed down a bit now. Obviously the pandemic didn't help. You know,
I don't know about slowing down. I still see you like doing all these other things online. I mean, I see all the stuff you're doing, and you hanging out. You're going with Ashley as well, and Ashley Bad.
yes, yeah, my better half. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
helping her out with her records. Yeah,
you know.
which is great. I really enjoy collaborating with people, and
Mhm.
and I'm less precious about it when it's not my own thing. If I'm like helping somebody else out, I definitely find out that I prefer to be a collaborator than like the main man. The Trent Reznor, for example. I'd rather be the guy on guitar that kind of just brings
I
my
yeah.
flavors to it. Or if I'm producing another artist like Ashley or some of the other bands that I've produced recently, I enjoy that, the knowledge that I bring to it. But I don't mind just stepping back, and it's not about me; it's about somebody else. And I kind of enjoy bringing just my flavor, sort of adding that sort of sparkly icing on the cake to their songs, and mixing it, because I've learned sort of some more detailed mixing abilities over the years as well, which I can bring
Yeah.
to other people's projects, which I've been enjoying doing that.
I know you were born in Birmingham, England, right?
I was, yeah.
Yeah. And there's
Although
so many talents that came out of there.
I was
Uh,
born in I found this out recently. I was born in the same hospital as Ozzy Osbourne.
oh wow.
Not at the same time, though.
But you were born right in Birmingham.
Yeah, I was born in Marston Green, Birmingham, and
Oh,
my mom's from Birmingham. My dad is from like the sort of Lancashire area, bordering on Manchester. Like he went to Manchester University, hence the Thwaite name is pretty prevalent up in Lancashire and the Lake District and places like that.
yeah. Yes.
Um, but yeah,
Some
mostly raised in the Birmingham area. Went to school in Lichfield, but Lichfield is only like 17 miles from Birmingham. You know what I mean? So it's like nothing.
Do you still visit? Do you still go back and visit family?
Yeah. I mean, as you know, I've been playing shows with the Wonder Stuff in recent years, the British band, the Wonder Stuff, and they're always touring the UK every year. So every year I get to go over there and play some shows with those guys, and then there's like gaps in the tour, so I go and stay at my mom's. She still lives in Lichfield, you know, just on the
Oh,
outskirts of Birmingham,
I
and
think
we'll go into Birmingham shopping together and stuff like that.
yeah. I mean, there's so many great bands. I think Dexy's Midnight Runners from there. Duran, of course, who's you know, everybody knew Duran, and I think Fine Young Cannibals. I can't really. I think so. Yeah, there's so many, but and then you.
Yeah.
So
It's famous for the metal scene. You know, Black Sabbath famously came from Birmingham, and half of Led Zeppelin were from the Midlands, and Judas Priest from the Midlands, Warsaw, and so there's a lot of metal and hard rock history
yeah,
from the Midlands. You know, and that, when I first got into music, I was into like punk rock. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
this was like, you know, mid to late 70s. I was into punk rock like Sex Pistols and Generation X and the Skids and bands like that. But I was, being a 15-year-old boy, I was also into metal. Like I liked Motorhead
I figured, yeah.
and a lot of the sort of metal bands like Priest and Sabbath, and I was listening to Deep Purple and all the classic metal bands. Really, I guess it's a rite of passage, especially in the Midlands and Birmingham. It just kind of it's a thing. Like every guy would end up growing their hair out and like listening to
Yeah.
hard
So,
rock.
how did you get into playing the guitar?
I picked up a guitar because I was at school. I was 15, and my best friend at school, Paddy, Paul Bryan, he'd got on one of those catalog Les Paul copies, you know, like you know, this kind of thing, and you know, and he was learning to play guitar on it, and it looked great, and I was like, oh, I want to get one of those, and so I taught my mom into helping me get a catalog guitar. I don't know if it was for Christmas or my birthday, but I ended up managing to talk her into getting me one. And the next thing I knew, I was going around his house with my catalog guitar. They were like cheap. Yeah, they looked like Les Pauls, but they were cheaply made and hard to play. He was already about 3 months ahead of me in ability, and he seemed to have a talent for it. And so that was my carrots, was to try and catch him up. And so I'd be the next 6 months, I was always trying to catch him up in. He'd show me stuff and we'd be like writing songs together. We ended up forming a band and we'd go and practice at school. We had the drummer for Steve Ellert, he went on to be the drummer for a band called Wolfsbane, who were like a fairly popular metal band from the UK, again from the Midlands. And their singer went on to join Iron Maiden, but that's another story. So yeah, so we had this band at school, and yeah, that's kind of. I don't know if I would have had the, you know, the sort of. I needed that carrot. I needed somebody, you know, kind of egging me on, and he was always slightly better than me, so it was egging me on, and that really helped, you know.
Yeah.
And then I kind of got to his level, and then he kind of lost interest in playing a bit. I think he went on to bass then instead of guitar, and I carried on playing guitar, and he was on bass in my band, and I got into writing music, and yeah, the rest is history. But yeah, it's all thanks to Paul Bryan.
Yeah. So, I mean, you play the bass too, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love playing the bass. Yeah, obviously anybody who can play guitar can play the bass, so it's nothing special, no special ability. But I find that I really get into it. Is a different mindset, and I find that I really get into just locking in with the drums and thinking, you know, all my favourite bass players like David J and Jean-Jacques Burnell from the Stranglers and Peter Hook and all these really cool bass players. Kind of thinking, what would those guys do? Craig Adams from the Sisters and Mission. So what would those guys do? And I kind of get into that mode, and it's
Yeah.
a lot of fun playing bass because it's easier than guitar, as in it's simpler.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a knack to being a good bass player, you know, knowing how to sort of flow with the band and the drummer and just locking in, and it's a lot of fun. I did some bass playing with the Mission, sorry, not with the Mission, with the Wonder stuff. Went on tour, and they needed a bass player for a tour, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it, you know, just because I wanted to sort of go out and actually play bass live. I hadn't done it in a long time, and that was a lot of fun.
So the first band that you played with, that Spear of Destiny?
Yeah, well, actually, to backpedal a bit, the first sort of, you know, professionally-ish band that I played with was actually a band called The Children, and that was Dave Roberts from Sex Gang Children, if you remember that.
Wow.
Andy Sex Gang and Dave
Yeah.
Roberts, and I forget the name
Wow.
of the other guy, but Dave had left Sex Gang Children. I'd just moved to London, so I was from Birmingham, and I moved to London, so I was dating a girl who lived in London, and so So I started looking for a band in London, and I saw this ad in the paper, you know, name musicians, seek guitarist, and I went and applied for it, and it was Dave Roberts from Sex Gang Children. And so I was playing with them for a year or so, and did some live shows, released a record with them. And the drummer in that band was an American called Bobby Ray Mayhem, and obviously a new drummer to them. And he said he was also jamming with Kirk Brandon of Spear of Destiny. And it's like, yeah, do you want to come down? I think Kirk is talking about getting a new lineup together. I guess Spear of Destiny had just disbanded and they'd lost their record deal. This was '89. And so I went down and sort of jammed with Bobby and Kirk and got the gig. And so then I was in Spear of Destiny, 1990. We did some shows at the old Marquee in London.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
you take me way back. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and then we ended up doing a new album. We did a tour as Theatre of Hate. He reformed Theatre of Hate the following year, '91. I got the job to play guitar for that. I think Billy Duffy from The Cult was the original sort of second guitarist back in the day. So I was kind of in place of him, and then we did a tour. There's a live album out there somewhere from that tour, and then we did a new album, which I think was going to be a Theatre of Hate album, but I think he was encouraged to make it a Spear of Destiny album instead, because Spear of Destiny had more commercial success, and so we ended up putting it out as Spear of Destiny, and it's called Sod's Law, and we toured that in '92. And then that's the same year where I heard that the Mission were after a guitarist, and I actually applied. You know, they advertised in the press, and I applied, and got the gig. You know, I got shortlisted to audition.
Oh, no, that's great. I mean, that's like so many talents. And happy birthday, Wayne Hussey. It's his birthday sometime.
It is. It's his birthday today. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if he's 65. I think he's 66. I think born in '58. I think that makes him 66. I forget.
So, you know, I wanted to, I know you mentioned this to me before, but, you know, Gemini in your name, that is, you are Gemini, right?
I am indeed, yeah. My birthday's coming up. Me and Wayne are both Geminis, and yeah, my birthday is 15th of June. My parent, I asked them, you know, obviously, you know, why did they pick Gemini as my real name? That's what's on my birth certificate. And my mom said that, you know, A, I was a Gemini, B, they wanted me to have an interesting middle name, and C, something about a space rocket going up that year, 1965. I looked it up, and it was like a Gemini space program. So there was a few rockets that went up that were called the Gemini this and the Gemini that. And so it was like a mix of the three things of them wanting me to have an interesting middle name. And
well, you know, that explains why you are so busy, because Gemini is a busy sign.
Oh, is it? Okay. I didn't know that.
And their communication, and, you know, they're all about the mind, thinking, and all that. And I can see that. I mean, you're doing an interview with me, and, you know, and my mom's birthday is actually June 14. Yours is the 15th. So that's really cool.
There you go. Yeah.
And now with astrology, Jupiter's in Gemini, you're going to be even more busier, Mark.
Okay. Well, I've definitely got some. The next 6 months are definitely going to be a lot busier than the first 6 months, from what I'm hearing, stuff that's coming up.
Yeah. See, it's right there. I can see it.
Right.
Oh, so
what's really funny is I was talking to Ashley about this, about how Gemini is my middle name, and yet I don't really, you know, I'm not somebody to be reading the you know, astrology charts. I don't look at any of that stuff. I don't take a particular interest in astrology, and it's a bit odd, I guess, when it's my middle name. You'd think I'd be more into it, you know.
So what about was your mom or your dad into astrology? That's why they call it Gemini.
I don't think my dad was. Maybe my mom was. You know, I imagine my dad seems very sensible, and, you know, he's got a master's degree in engineering, and he's always been like, son, you know, this music's great, but you need to settle down and get a real job. And so I imagine, bearing that in mind, my mom's much more of a free spirit, you know, and she used to have a big beehive in the 60s, and she's always been a free spirit. She always comes to the shows, and she loves the rock and roll. She loves bands like Queen and stuff like that. So I'm going to hazard a guess that, yeah, my mom's probably more into the astrology side of things, you know.
You know, I know you've also worked with so many other musicians, like Chris Connolly. I know you did an album with him, right?
We actually, I got into. We worked together on a cover of a '70s song, how
How
long
long?
has
Yeah.
this been going on? We did like a Cleopatra, this label I was signed to for my solo material. They approached me, hey, you know, we did you a cover of How Long Has This Been Going On, for like a sort of a goth
I like
cover album. But the idea was it's like gothic versions of, you know, like sort of stuff that you wouldn't expect to be gothic. You know, obviously How Long's It Been Going On is like a 70s sort
Yeah,
of
no, I've never heard that.
Motown.
I've never heard that done in any other way, but what you guys did is great. I like it actually.
Yeah. So we did that together, and we also worked together with Primitive Race. We did a couple of tracks together for Primitive Race, which was like a industrial collective with various members of Pot Will Eat Itself and Pigface and guy from Skinny Puppy and stuff like that, and myself was involved. And actually, there's a few songs that Chris Connolly and myself have done which haven't been released yet. And it's, strangely enough, I was actually just listening back to them the other day, and I think it's time. I might sort of get them finished off and put
Oh,
them down. I wasn't sure if it would be an MGT release, which is like my solo stuff, my initials, or I'm kind of feeling like maybe it should be another sort of new project or something.
is it like is it like an original or is it like covers?
This is originals,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah.
It all
Okay.
sounds really good, and I think it all got derailed by the pandemic. To be honest, you know, we were working on stuff, and then the pandemic was ongoing,
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, and I think I just kind of dropped the ball on it. So yeah, I'm going to talk to Chris about that, because we've got several songs that we could
Oh,
actually,
yeah, yeah. I can't wait to hear it.
and it's really good stuff. And it had Paul Ferguson, Big Paul, the drummer from Killing Joke. It's got him on drums as well, which obviously is another added feature.
Oh,
And yeah, I ended up doing a couple of albums with Big Paul for his career. You know, did two of his solo albums, but it was like a collaboration that we did together, and they came out as well over the last few years. I think 2018, and then second album in 2021. Yeah.
and I also, and one of the covers that I really like that you guys did, that you did with um the ABBA cover with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, knowing me,
Yeah.
knowing God, that is so nice. I love that one.
Yeah, that was just an idea I'd floating around for a while to sort of cover. I kind of heard that song on the radio one day, Knowing Me, Knowing You. And I just heard it like, oh, I could really hear this in a kind of a dark, brooding, gothic, heavy sort of like The Mission doing it sort of thing. And I even had Wayne Hussey perhaps in mind to sing on it. But once Ville Valo was from him, was a friend, a good long time friend of mine. We've been friends since the 90s, and so we used to do festivals together, the Mission and him, and he was a Mission fan, so we were like hanging out. And so yeah, once he heard my demo of the Knowing Me, Knowing You, he was like, oh yeah, I'd love to sing on this, and I left it with him, and he did it in his home studio, sent it to me, and did this fantastic vocal. And then he was like, "Oh, you must do a video for this. Let's do a video." And I really got Ville to thank for really he really sort of upped my game and was like, "Yeah, let's do a video." And, "Oh, you really should put this out on a label." Because I was just going to do a self-release. Like everybody nowadays can just self-release on Spotify and this, that, and the other. He was like, "No, it's too good for that. You should do a video and you should have a label behind it." And he kind of put me in touch with his publicist and Silky, and the rest is history, you know. But yeah, Ville was really, really sort of inspiring and really encouraging for me to sort of do it properly. And yeah, the ABBA video came out great, and I think it's like had over 4.5 million views or something now on
Yeah,
YouTube. So,
it's a good song. Yeah.
and
And you know what?
over a million on Spotify, and you know, obviously it's a testament to how great ABBA's songs are. It's all about the song, and Ville just did a fantastic delivery of it.
Yeah. And of course, Ashton Knight from The Awakening, you did that soft cell song, which I really, it was one of my favorite songs, Say Hello, Wave Goodbye. I like
Yeah, I've always loved that song. I used to back in the 90s, early 90s. I was trying to learn this music software called Logic Audio. Everybody uses it now. It's like Logic Studio now, but I was trying to learn it, and I'd mentioned to my friend at the time that, oh yeah, I used to kind of add guitar riffs to like stuff like Soft Cell, you know, Say Hello, Wave Goodbye, and Bed Sitter. I'd like, there was no guitars on the original track, so I would, for fun, I would add like my own guitars, like riffy guitars and riffs and lead lines, and I'd usually add new drums to kind of make it sound heavier with the new guitars. And my friend was like, yeah, why don't you just do that in Logic? That way you get to learn how to use this music software. So Say Hello, Wave Goodbye was one of the tracks that I'd like heavied up. And I used to play it sometimes when I do DJ sets. And so when it came to adding a cover song to my second MGT album, Gemini Night, the one I did that album with Ashton, I was like, yeah, why don't we try Say Hello, Wave Goodbye? I've already got all these guitar riffs worked out for it. And yeah, you heard the final result. It came out great. Ashton did a great job.
Yeah, yeah. One of my favorite songs too. That's I mean, you've been so involved with, even with Ashley with the gun.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and the one that you remix also. I played at the clubs.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and then more recently, you were with you were involved with the Shadow Majorless, right? Ali Jaffrey's
Billy
label.
Jaffrey's projects. Yeah, I was in Toronto and we collaborated with David Bottrell. I think I actually, yeah, thinking about it,
You
Alex
got
was asking
you
me about
introduced me.
producers, and I suggested David Bottrell to him.
Yeah.
And David, I'd worked with back when David, he's from Toronto, but he used to live in London when I lived in London. And
Oh,
we were introduced when I had a band called New Disease. I formed this band in breaks between The Mission and Peter Murphy and Tricky. So I formed this band New Disease, and we needed a producer. We signed a deal with Universal, and David expressed an interest in producing us. So I had this history with David. He's a lovely guy. And so when I found out that Ali was looking for a producer to work with, I remember mentioning David Bottrell, and that ended up happening. And yeah, so I contributed some guitars to their tracks, and David J was playing bass, and David
yeah,
told
yeah.
me
He told me the whole story. Yeah, he's so grateful. Yeah,
yeah,
the whole story when I did an interview. Yeah,
yeah.
that's just amazing. Yeah, and I love that whole
Album,
album.
that album came out great. I was a big fan of stuff like Peter Gabriel, Passion of the Christ, and for me,
Hmm.
it kind of
Yeah.
worked this kind of vibe of it really evoked. And David mixed that album, Passion of the Christ, the soundtrack, with music to the movie, and Last Temptation of Christ, I think, and yeah, it just really evokes that whole thing, and I just find it really atmospheric and engaging.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. And I know that there's a whole list of bands that you've been involved with, Raymond Watts, of course. I know you work with him in a few albums, right? As well.
Yeah, mainly on his gospel album, which I think came out in 2015. But there was some tracks that didn't make that album that ended up coming out on the album after that. I forget the name of it. So yeah, we've had this kind of ongoing association together. Yeah, yeah. Raymond's a friend of mine, and yeah, very talented guy. You know, just putting a new record out now, and it sounds great. He's got
Yeah, yeah.
Jim Davies, who was the guitarist from Pitch Shifter and Prodigy. He's involved on this new album, and the stuff I've heard so far sounds really good.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to we're gonna do an interview about the new album, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I know you've collaborated in this album. There's a bunch of like old stuff, and you produced it. What is the name of that album? I'm trying to figure it out. It's not Volumes, is it?
Well, Volumes was my first solo
Oh,
album, so yeah, I
yeah,
produced.
that one's good too. Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
I did a project for Cleopatra where they booked me to mix like a progressive rock album. So
Yeah,
it
that's the
was,
one. That's the one.
and
Prog.
it's covers, yeah. So it's like some of the guys from Yes, the prog rock band Yes, sort of, it's like those guys and their friends, and doing various covers like Sound of Silence and stuff
Yeah. Yep.
and House of the Rising Sun, but they're all done in this kind of progressive rock style. And I got approached by Cleopatra to asking me, would I want to have a go at mixing some of this? I guess they weren't happy with some of the mixes, and I was like, okay, wondering what I would bring to it, but I just did what I do, and I mixed the tracks. I ended up getting the Mission's old keyboard player, Rick Carter, in on a few songs. I added some keyboards myself on a few songs, but mainly I was in a mixing mode, and so I really enjoyed it because I wasn't precious about it. It wasn't my thing, but I could appreciate just working on it, and I had some of my heroes on there, like Steve Hillage, the guitarist from Gong, and
A lot of good stuff. Yeah.
bands from Asia, and Yes, and Dweezil Zappa. You know, Frank Zappa's son did some great lead guitar on it, and I think Steve Morse is on a track, and there was all these really cool players on this record, and I had a lot of fun mixing it. So that's called they're called the Prog Collective, and the album's called
and that song Year of the Cat, one of my favorite songs.
Year of the Cat. That's it. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun, and that was out of my wheelhouse. Like that, like mixing a progressive rock album was really like not something I would expect to get asked to do, but I actually ended up really enjoying it, and I guess it made me realize that I can have a lot of fun just mixing other people's material. I guess it helped that they were cover tunes, but it was fun mixing other people's material, and I realized, I don't have to just be thinking about that I'm playing on it and that it's in there sort of a dark wave arena. All music's good and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and the last time I saw you play live was with Peter Murphy.
Yeah.
And that's in San Francisco.
Right. Yes.
And I know you've been working with Peter in so many things. And Peter has an artwork. He's an artist as well, right?
Peter sort of dabbled in the art for a long while. He would like end up like, for example, we would end up towards the end of certain tours, or as the drummers, like Mark Slutsky, our current drummer, would get through the kick drum skins, he would give them to Peter, and Peter would like do artwork on these drum skins, and then we'd like sell them off at the merch stand. And that's where I found out that Peter's got this very impressive flair for like a abstract art, and Dali-esque and sort of Picasso-esque, and he's kind of been doing some paintings, I believe, from his home in Istanbul, and they're very creative. He's got a real
he's all on his website if people want to check that out, petermurphy.info. There as well, and then of course the updates, and I know you're still working with him and doing stuff, so we're looking forward to your next collaboration, I guess you could say.
Totally. So we were talking of Peter, that there are some plans. I mean, well, what's just happened is Peter's just released a live album. I think it's just called Peter Live Covers Volume 1 or something like that. And it contains a bunch of live recordings of Peter covering songs like Love Me Tender and Transmission by Joy Division and Hurt with Trent Reznor. We used to play that song live with Peter about 10 years ago on tour. And so I'm on a few of those live recordings, which is great. So that just came out. You can get it on vinyl. Golden vinyl. I just got one. I got one sent to me. It looks really pretty. And there's going to be a second live album coming out that we recorded at the Blender Theatre in New York City in, I think it was 2008. And that's a good recording. And that's coming out. And then Peter's also got a new studio album, which he's been sat on for a while during the pandemic. And I think it's finally going to come out. And that's got some very special guest appearances on it, and it sounds great. And we're looking at doing some shows later this year, which I'm hoping are going to be announced soon. Is
it in the US?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to get ready.
Yes. So we're already making plans for that, and we're going to be playing some brand new material, and obviously some of Peter's best loved songs, and so that should be good. So watch this space. So
how do you balance your time? Because I see you like going with Ashley, doing stuff with Ashley, then you got to do all this other stuff that you're doing, right?
Yeah, I managed to balance it somehow, you know. Yeah.
I don't know how you do all that because you're a Gemini, right? So I guess Gemini can do so many things. They really do. They're really busy.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why I'm looking at this and I'm like, wow, I can't even keep up with all the stuff he's doing. And then I see you on like, and you're you guys are so romantic. You do
Uh,
that these really romantic things. I see like, I mean, something I would do, because it's so romantic and so high class, so classy.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
uh, I mean, you're gonna make any girl's heart melt, just like that. Just the way you romance her. So I just see all this stuff going on, and I'm like, how does he do? How does he keep up with all this stuff? And actually, he's busy too.
She is busy. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're planning on. We got engaged last year, and
Congratulations.
we're
Yeah.
planning on getting married later this year. I think we're going to be in New Orleans. For Ashley's got a DJ gig there. She's been doing a lot of DJ work,
Hmm.
and yeah, we're talking about tying the knot in New Orleans because it's a very romantic place.
Yeah, yeah, it's very vampirish. So where are you guys gonna do your honeymoon in Hawaii?
Maybe, yeah, we might come and knock on your door. Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah,
Wait, when is this planned? I mean, what month are you looking at? I
we're
mean,
looking at November
okay.
to yeah for our but I've got some impending commitments, live commitments with the Wonder stuff. We're doing shows in December in the UK, and then I think around sort of October, November time, there's also going to be some shows possibly with Peter. So it's going to be a busy time.
Yeah, and I think I'm
We
gonna be
might have
coming
to
around that
we might
time.
have to postpone the honeymoon, till after all the dust has settled on that.
Oh,
You know.
oh, but you're a Gemini. You might be able to juggle it.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we can figure out. But yeah, it's going to be busy.
Yeah, you're totally busy. What about in the next like 2 months from now that you're looking at down in October? What about like anything going on?
I don't think I've got anything. So I don't have any live commitments
Not
going
yet.
on. Not yet. Yeah, they can come out of the blue sometimes.
Mhm.
Like when I toured with Gary Numan. That was in 2013, and Robin Fink was supposed to be doing that tour, the guitarist and Nine Inch Nails, because Robin had played on Gary's Splinter album, but then Robin suddenly got called back to Nine Inch Nails. Long story, but Adrian Belew was supposed to be on guitar for the Nine Inch Nails tour, but had a falling out with Trent. And the next thing you know, Trent gets Robin back in. So Gary calls me up going, oh, will you step in on this tour with the Splinter tour, North America, because Robin's busy. And I was, of course, I've known Gary socially for 15, 20 years at that point. And so that was kind of a last minute thing that I had no idea was going to come. And sometimes things like that can happen.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking at the back. You have all these guitars. How many guitars do you own?
Well, funnily enough, we had a flooding recently, a burst pipe, and didn't do any damage to my musical equipment, but it did like mess up the walls here because in California the walls are just basically wood and whatever they stick stuff in there. So some of the walls had to be rebuilt because the leak was from above. So I had to kind of do an inventory of all my guitars, and it turned out I had like 35 guitars or something like that. So, and I keep buying them. I keep
Oh
getting
yeah, yeah. And then I know you work with
Schecter. Yeah, I do.
yeah, Schecter, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've been working with Schecter.
Michael Cervolo.
Yeah, I've had an endorsement with Schecter since I think it was 2008. So wow, over like 16 years now, and and then they ended up doing a signature model for me and Wayne Hussey. They did one for Wayne Hussey because I introduced Wayne to Schecter, and then they did one very kindly for me, which was very very nice of them. And that one came out in 2016, and they're still selling it. So what's that? 8 years? I've been selling it now for 8 years, and I love it. beautiful guitar.
Yeah, no, I think I saw it in somewhere. I think yeah, I think Michael was telling me about it
I've
sometime
got
ago.
one. I've got one right here. There she is.
Oh, oh, is that it? Wow, look at that.
Yeah, it's kind of blue, but you know, when different light catches it, it looks purple. You know, so got the MGT and the.
I really like how the way you play the guitar. I mean, it's just so you have this, you know, it's so cool. Now I can see all the guitar you have there in the back.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to ask you as well. I know you play the guitar and all that, and you're so creative and you have so much energy. Your Gemini you're just so energetic, right? Was there ever a time that you have any when you're kind of when you I don't know how do you say that? Not a creative block, but when you kind of like uh need some motivation or something like that, or are you always energetic?
No, I definitely go through phases where you don't feel so motivated. I definitely felt a bit like that during the pandemic.
Oh yeah, everybody.
Maybe not so much with, because I ended up collaborating with Ashley and on her material, and Cleopatra were getting me to do a remix for this band, a remix for that band, and work with Chris Connolly on this, and yeah, there was all these projects going on, but I found myself less motivated to kind of work on like my own like original music. So yeah, I kind of sometimes go through phases like now. And now I'm starting to feel a bit more inspired to want to do some new music.
Yeah. Well,
And I don't think I'm alone. I think that most musicians are like this. They'll go through ups and downs, and that's why sometimes you won't hear of a new album from a band for years, or you hear an album from a band and you hear it and you go, oh, it's not very good. And it's probably because the main songwriter just wasn't as motivated, and it kind of got forced into it.
Do you have a particular song that you like to play that's you find like really fun to play, or one of your favorites?
On guitar,
Like, well, something from Peter's music, or I don't know, anything.
I mean, yeah, there's certain tracks like, I'll Doodle Away and be doing the riff from Cuts You Up, or, some old Bauhaus stuff, Ziggy Stardust would be something, like in sound checks, I'll probably throw out the riff to Ziggy Stardust or Telegram Sam, or, I'll mess about. A lot of stuff I tend to doodle on is like funnily enough, like old like harder rock that I listened to as a teenager. Like I'll be playing Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne, in sound checks or whatever, or if I'm doing a line check, or I'll be playing a bit of Rush because I was a big Rush fan, Alex Lifeson fan, and I'll play some of their more technical riffs, Spirit of Radio and stuff like that, or La Villa Strangiato, and it kind of challenges me more. So I kind of tend to revisit stuff like that, or Led Zeppelin. Sometimes I'll try working out something by Led Zeppelin. It's weird. Yeah, you just suddenly start trying. Like the other week, I posted a video of me playing "Never Going Back Again" by Fleetwood Mac, which is off the Rumours album, and it was a lovely acoustic piece by Lindsey Buckingham, who's singing on it, and so I'd kind of worked that out, and I was playing it on this loop guitar that I had, and yeah, so I'm always generally kicking around sort of old stuff. I was working out the solo to Bohemian Rhapsody the other day.
Yeah.
Like whimsical stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean, you're so eclectic. I mean, you can go anywhere from that style of rock to goth rock and all stuff.
I like to feel I'm a bit versatile,
Yeah.
and I think it's because I listen to a lot of different. I mean, it's all rock and roll. It's all rock, really, but I listen to quite a broad range of rock, over the years,
Yeah.
So I try to sort of keep it varied. I think that was evident on that first solo album. If you listen to the styles that I'm going through, it's all a rock album, but it's like different flavors of rock. It's not all dark wave,
Do you have any memorable performance? You probably have many, but
Many, yeah, I remember on tour with Peter, we played at Terminal 5 in New York City, and halfway through it's like a huge crowd, and with David Jays on bass, and we're playing all Bauhaus. This was about 5 years ago, and halfway through the gig, there was this black guy with dreads just kind of hanging out on the side of the stage, and I was playing away, and like, who's that guy? You know, not really sure. And then he just wanders on, and I'm like, what's going on? It turned out Peter had gotten a taxi from the hotel to the gig, and this guy was like his Uber driver. And they'd gone into a conversation, and he's Jamaican or whatever. And Peter was like, I want you to get up with us tonight. And so it was on She's in Parties, you know, with the big dub breakdown with David on bass. And he got this complete stranger out on stage and got him to start toasting, you know, freestyle toasting during the dub breakdown. So yet, like, weird things like that happen on a show where nobody had bothered to tell the rest of the band this was happening, you know. And it was a genuine surprise, and it felt, I think the audience could sense as well, it was very off the cuff, you know, and unplanned, you know.
So do you have a favorite solo performance? Your solo guitar playing on stage?
Oh, you mean I like a recorded performance? Oh, blimey. I mean, I wouldn't say that I throw. Yeah, well, actually, let me think about this. I mean, yeah, there's been some lead guitar moments as a guitarist. You know, kind of, I guess I see myself as a lead guitarist at times, and there's been moments that I've been proud of. For example, the Mission. We have a song called Afterglow. It was one of the first songs I recorded with the band when I joined them in '92, and it was released as a single in Europe. And I did like this. I got asked by Wayne to go down the studio and record like an extra lead guitar on it in London. I was living in London at the time, because we recorded it originally sort of out at Wayne's place in near Wales. So I went to the studio with Spike Stent, a famous mixer producer, and it's just me and him, and he fired up the track, and I just like came up with this on the spot kind of lead solo-y atmospheric thing, and it was I was really proud of that, because I kind of remember it being very spontaneous. And I think some of my best work as a lead guitarist is before I start thinking about it. If you just turn on play and hit record and just see what I come up with. Some of my best stuff is the stuff when I'm not actually thinking about it too much, and I guess what I'm doing is like a feel, you know. Yeah, so that's the solo. Ebo solo I do on on Afterglow is a highlight. Yeah, I'm not sure what else. I did some lead guitar with Roger Daltrey of The Who. That was for a BBC. Yeah, that was for a BBC project back in the early '90s, and it was a very sort of Pink Floyd-esque style that was going on. So I was kind of doing my best Dave Gilmour impersonation, the guitarist from Pink Floyd, and he's a big influence. So I'm very proud of some of the lead guitar I did on that, probably because I feel like, yeah, I'm trying to evoke Dave Gilmour, Pink Floyd, and I felt like, yeah, I'm doing an okay job, you know. Yeah, so that came out well.
Do you have a certain ritual you do before you go on stage with the band?
Yeah, not really. It's people have commented on that, like, "Oh, Mark, don't you get nervous before you go on stage?" And yeah, normally I don't. I'm not one of these guitar players that has to be like playing my guitar. You know, I feel like that's more of a like a hard rock metal guitar thing. Like Eddie Van Halen would sit there practicing, all those guys. But yeah, I generally don't do any warm ups. I just kind of go out there. Maybe I should, but yeah, I just go out there and just do it. You know.
You've been doing it for so long. I mean, you know how it is, right? If you're doing it for so long, you're so used to doing. I mean, you know, so I get it.
There may be something in that. You know, I imagine if you're warming up on the guitar before you actually hit the stage, maybe you just play even better. You know, I mean, maybe I'd be doing an even better job. You know, maybe I should start. You know, that might be an idea. You know. But you know, I don't want to annoy. I mean, drummers are always sat there like practicing with their little drum pads, and I get that. You know, they have to warm up. You know.
I mean, what advice would you give like an aspiring like new guitarist that just wants to learn how to play the guitar and they want to like seek advice from an experienced musician?
I guess everybody's different, you know, and you've got to be motivated. You've got to be inspired. Yeah, what was my inspiration was my best friend at the time, Paul, getting a guitar first, and I was like, oh, I want one as well, you know. Um, all I would say is that what I benefited from was having somebody to bounce off, and he was slightly ahead of me, so that gave me that carrot to kind of keep trying to get better. Yeah, I wonder if I even I'd have picked up a guitar if it wasn't for having somebody to play with. So I guess I would say, yeah, if you're going to pick up a guitar, you know, try and find somebody that you can jam with, you know, somebody, a friend or in the circle, somebody you can play with, somebody you can bounce off. I never had any guitar lessons, but maybe maybe in the absence, if you don't have a friend who plays guitar that you can jam with, then maybe get a few guitar lessons with someone, because then you're in a room with somebody, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably say that maybe that might be more successful than just being on your own and not knowing whether you're getting any better, or just don't have somebody else egging you on to kind of challenge you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, that's very, it's amazing. So,
you
you know,
know.
if people want to check out your music, and I know you have a website, right?
Yeah, you can go to markthwaite.com or the even longer markgeminithwaite.com. It all goes to the same thing. And yeah, that's got a full discography on it. I always announce tour dates on there. And there's a whole collection of like a video page where you can check out videos from my material and the various bands that I've played with, studio videos and live videos. And
And
also
and
there's a links page, there's all sorts, you know.
and then were you saying that you DJ too?
During the pandemic, I mean, I've always kind of done the occasional DJ gig. I guess musicians like
Yeah.
David J will go and DJ, and I get asked occasionally to go and DJ. So we've always done that as a little side hustle. You know, it's fun to DJ. And during the pandemic and all the touring had been shut down, once venues started slowly, bars and that, and clubs started opening back up, I kind of lent more on the DJing. So yeah, I was DJing a lot more in the last couple of years because of the absence of touring. And also Ashley, who had a history of DJing in New York, she also wanted to get booked as a DJ, so we kind of did some DJ slots together. And now that my music career is kind of getting busier again, you know, I'm not pushing the DJing so much. But funnily enough, last night I was asked if I'd be interested in doing a DJ slot in LA in the next few months by a promoter. So yeah, I do a bit of DJing. You
So
know.
is it DJ MGT or DJ Mark Gemini?
Just the name, you know, Mark Gemini Thwaite, you know. I kind of saved the MGT just for the. That was Ville's idea, by the way. Ville Valo was the one that was like, oh, you know, when you put out your record, are you going to do it as Mark Gemini Thwaite? Or he was like, maybe you should do it as MGT. He goes, all the Mission fans just call you MGT. It's like an abbreviation. He's like, and those Germans, you know, because I signed to a German label. He's like, those Germans are going to have trouble pronouncing your name. You should do it. So yeah, I put out the record as MGT, and that's just encouraged even more people to call me MGT. But yeah, I guess there's like with the flyers, it is an interesting discussion with flyers for, say, a DJ gig. I will say to them, yeah, you know, you can put the MGT logo, but if you can put my name as well, because I think some people started to separate the MGT as a band, and I'm like, no, that's me, you know. So you kind of have to have a bit of both. So I always get them to put my name on the flyer as well in full. It's funny.
Well, you know, I'm looking forward to the release that you mentioned earlier with Chris. Whenever you bring it out, yeah, whenever you put
It'll
it.
probably be shots because I need to talk to him about it. But yeah, I was listening to that stuff the other day and kind of tweaking some of the mixes. And there was another idea that I'm collaborating with Paul Ferguson on with his drums, and I think I probably talked to Chris about getting him to sing on that. And I was thinking of lumping it together with these other songs that we haven't released yet.
Oh, how many songs?
Oh, I can't remember. I think it's like 4 or 5. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's an EP then. You're gonna release an EP?
Yeah, it'd be like nobody really cares about whether stuff's like with Spotify, it doesn't matter if you release like 3 songs or 5 songs or 10 songs. It's just Spotify, isn't it? I think a lot of bands even sort of turned away from releasing full-blown albums, and they were opting to do chunks of 2 or 3 songs at a time. And then at the end of a year period, they then put it all together and call it an album. You know, there's all these different rules now. Doesn't really matter anymore.
Thank you so much for this lot of information. Total Gemini.
Have we missed anybody out? I can't remember. Probably, you know.
Yeah, like
Burton C. Bell. Yeah, one of the last things I did as far as records go was I did a collaboration with Burton, the singer of Fear Factory, last year.
Yeah.
And it was me, it was Burton, and then myself and Big Paul Ferguson on drums, and it was a cover of Du Hast for a Rammstein.
Oh, Rammstein, yeah. And of course you work with Tricky and
yeah. I did 3 albums with Tricky. Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, I mean, you got so many other things going on, and you know, I'm always like amazed at everything you're doing and how you can do all of that stuff and still do your own thing. And yeah, and then you know, if you guys come to Hawaii for your honeymoon, I'll see you guys. Just joking. I don't know if you guys are gonna do your honeymoon, but yeah, that's, you know, congratulations. You know, that's yeah, you guys were always like just an amazing couple.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm a lucky man.
Yeah, well, you're both lucky. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this amazing interview, and I'll put the link on the bottom of the page.
Great. Thanks, Anne. Sounds good.
Okay.
Lovely.